Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Haas from nichepursuits.com. And I've got Perrin with me. He's in Chicago, and I think he's surviving the snow there. How you doing, man?
Yeah, it's weird. It's good. For those of you who don't know, we got the biggest snowfall in November in the last 120 years or something.
It's insane.
Over a century. Yeah, which is, it's really not too bad. Like in December and January, we're going to get 3 times the snow. It's just weird that it's in November. But I love the first snow of the year, so I've got my Christmas Pandora station on, and I'm in my big sweatpants and ready to roll.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, that's cool. It actually snowed here today. It was the first snow of the season for us, and so my two of my girls have school off this whole week. It's Thanksgiving week for people maybe listening to this a long time in the future, but so they got to play in the snow and have a good time. And the roads were a little slick for us around here, so they delayed school a couple hours. And anyways, it's kind of fun seeing them all play in the snow and have a good time.
Yep.
But so the holiday season is here. Thanksgiving's in a couple of days, and Christmas is right around the corner. But we still, of course, want to have at least one more podcast. Today we're going to talk about Niche Site Project 3.
Yes.
And how people can apply to that if they haven't read about that on the blog yet, and just sort of the process we're going to go through to pick applicants. So it should be a fairly quick podcast here, but we're going to just share some of our thoughts on the project overall and what applicants can expect. And of course, if you're listening and you haven't applied and you want to apply, now is the time to do that. So
I think at this point, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
No, I was going to say something, but it would give away the date. And I think we're going to get into that here in a couple minutes. So
yeah. So, basically bottom line is we've opened up the application process for Niche Site Project 3. We are going to be picking 3 students. Perrin's going to coach one person, I'm going to coach one person, and Jake is going to coach one person. So there will be 3 coaching sessions going on separately and 3 separate websites built at the same time. So this really is going to be the biggest and hopefully best niche site project that we've done to date for that very reason. So it's just going to have a lot of interesting things to follow along with. The different coaching styles, the different websites that are going to be built will, of course, be shared publicly so that everybody can actually check out the site and see what people are doing differently. And hopefully will be a great learning process for everyone involved.
Yeah, so maybe we should talk about why we are doing this. Why another niche site? Because it's really not like we don't have anything going on.
Yeah, we're just crazy, I think.
Yeah, we have lots of stuff going on, and we are fortunately, making quite a bit of money doing it. So why even do a niche site project? Yeah,
so, it's been... How long has it been? It's been over a year, really, since we completed the last one.
I think almost exactly 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years since we started.
Yeah, more than 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since we really started the last one. And, why another one? Well, I have gone through a whole cycle of different projects, from going from niche sites. Well, our last one was let's build an authority site. I've talked about building software applications and doing all sorts of things. But when it came down to it, I think some of the best teaching tools have always come through these projects, and specifically with niche sites. And so for content on my blog and for the readers of my blog, I still get so many questions about, how do you choose keywords and how do you build a niche site from scratch and what are the best practices today? And I think that's the biggest thing is that, it has been 2 years since I started the last one. So what has changed in the SEO world? What do you do differently today to build a niche site than you did 2 years ago? And so that's really sort of the deciding factor there, is that we're in an ever-evolving industry, and because of that, it just makes sense to do another one and share how we build sites today.
Yeah, totally. And we talk a lot on the podcast about how we are learning from both our successes and our failures. And we're doing a lot of projects, but a lot of them we just can't share because if they start to take off, we want to protect them because they have become more major parts of the business. And when you have something that's bringing in substantial revenue, you have to practice risk management just as like a basic business practice. And so it's tough to peek behind the curtain of all of those projects, but with students, it's a little bit different. Not that, like we want theirs to be sabotaged or anything because, mine was totally fine. It was, in fact, it was even better to have a domain reveal on Niche Pursuits because I got some links and exposure and some business opportunities and stuff. But being able to peek behind the curtains and look under the hood of 3 brand new sites coming up from start to finish will, I think, make things a lot clearer than us just explaining theory on a podcast and saying, well, sorry, we can't show you our stuff because it's just too valuable at this point.
Right.
So part of the idea also is to give you, the reader and listener, a way to visualize what this stuff actually looks like in real time with these projects. I also think that we have 3 team members now at Niche Pursuits. We have Spencer, we have me, and we have Jake. And all 3 of us have built successful sites, and we kind of had different styles. The core is always the same. The keyword research and that sort of thing is always the same. And a lot of times the monetization is the same, at least for part of it. But as we've built more sites, we've kind of developed our own styles and our own strategies, and a lot of them seem to be working even though we're not all doing them. So we also kind of think it would be cool to just explore different types of strategies. And lastly, I feel like, at least for me, having a student and coaching them through the process will give me an opportunity to try new stuff that I'm not trying on my own sites because I don't have the time or energy or resources to try it because I'm investing in some other stuff. So yep. I think having a student to brainstorm with and who is spending their own time on a site will definitely give us a little bit of elbow room to try some new stuff that we haven't tried before.
Yeah, I agree. And part of it that is actually interesting is that having a student's perspective, when I build a site or when you build a site, we kind of do things from the beginning and we don't think about why we do things a lot of times.
Yes.
And when a student is coming through that process, they'll go, well, why did we do that? And why did we do that? Which is perhaps what a lot of questions that Niche Pursuits readers have that I just never thought, hey, I should write a blog post about this particular topic. And so it really will help me to kind of brainstorm topics that I should be writing more about or diving deeper into that I just haven't thought about for a really long time. And so from that perspective, it really helps me in my own, sort of teaching and blogging strategies and that sort of thing as well, to have that student's perspective on how we're doing everything. And so having said that, basically, as I mentioned, we have now opened up the application process for people to become a student. So we are accepting 3 students. And so I just want to jump right into what people need to do to apply here.
For sure.
They've got, let's see, we are accepting applications. When is the close date here officially? The application deadline is December 2nd, 2015 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right.
So yes, not a minute late on that. So December 2nd, 2015, which is about a week, maybe a little over a week from today. So if you're listening into this podcast, that means you will have about a week to apply. And here's some basic things that we're looking for in students, and then we'll go through the specific application requirements here. Basically, we want somebody that is willing to be coached and to do all of that in a recorded fashion. So if we do calls on Skype or Google+, you have to be willing to be recorded. It's probably just going to be your voice. We usually don't do video calls, but that is possible that we'll share, your auto recording, video recording, that sort of thing. You also must be willing to spend up to 10 hours a week working on a niche site and spending time with your coach for a couple of months. And so the next thing, you must be willing to invest up to $500 on this project. And you also must be willing to share your domain publicly once you've built that. And of course, you must be willing to share earnings, traffic, and other stats from the niche site.
Yeah, and I think this also goes without saying, but you've got to be willing to execute. So I feel like I've talked to lots of Niche Pursuits readers, and they seem to fall into two camps. One camp is are the people who are really out there hustling, and the other camp is the people who want a more passive lifestyle. And I feel like you have to be ready to come in here and really get your hands dirty and hustle and work. And I think that kind of goes without saying. But it's something that we're going to be looking for in the applications. We want someone who's willing to really put in those hours to get it done, because it's a public case study. And in the end, we want all three of these people to have awesome, successful businesses when they're done that they can build on from here.
Right.
So I think there's an unseen effort that is required. I know when I was a student, I spent a lot of time researching and thinking about the project and, stuff that a lawyer would bill you for. But it says 10 hours, but it might be a little bit more, and there's more of a commitment than just time, I think.
Right. I agree. I mean, we really hope that all these websites are a success, but so much of that success does depend on the students. I mean, we are going to be the coaches, and so the idea is that we tell you what to do, but you have to go out and actually execute that. And part of that is not because we're lazy. I am kind of lazy, but the real reason is because you learn so much more by doing things hands-on yourself. And so if I were to go out and build the website and do everything, you don't learn quite as much. So having said that, here are the requirements. I do recommend that people, if you really do want to apply, you should probably do more than just listen to this podcast. You should go over to the blog post that has the specific requirements, but I am going to read through these here. So if you go to nichepursuits.com, it's just going to be the latest blog post on how to apply to Niche Site Project 3. So step 1 is you need to create a short YouTube video explaining why you are the best applicant for Niche Site Project 3. And this video should be under 3 minutes long. We don't, want some 20-minute discussion. Just something quick that tells us about who you are, why you're the best applicant. And then just some requirements about the video description. Make sure you reference Niche Pursuits. And then in your title, you need to include the phrase Niche Site Project 3 applicant so that others can search and find that is really the idea there. And then you need to post your YouTube video on the Niche Pursuits Facebook page. And again, that's so other applicants and other Niche Pursuits readers can follow along with that. And then step 2 of the application is a written portion. There's 6 questions that you'll email to us. The email address is nsp3@nichepursuits.com. Basically, here's the 6 questions. What kind of experience do you have building niche sites? And most of these are meant to be really brief, except for question 5 here that I'll get to. But so what kind of experience do you have building niche sites? The point of that is, well, we aren't necessarily going to pick somebody that has lots of experience. We're not necessarily going to pick somebody that has no experience. We just want to know where you're at. It doesn't matter if you're an expert or a brand new person. We're not leaning one way or another. We just want to get to know these applicants a little bit better. Second, how much money do you currently make from any online ventures? Again, in this case, if somebody is making $10,000 a month already, that's probably not somebody we're going to pick. Just, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Right.
We want to take somebody from, a lower level of income to a higher level.
Right.
Question 3, how much time are you willing and able to put into being coached, creating a niche site, and documenting the process each week? Again, like Perrin said, we want to make sure you have the dedication there. Number 4, what are you an expert in, or what are you really good at?
Now, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And this was actually Jake's suggestion,
Yep.
and I think it was a really good suggestion. So why are we asking this one?
Well, this could lead to a potential niche site. If they're an expert at playing the flute, perhaps we'll build a niche site around flutes. So it could lead to a niche site, or could lead to a potential product, right, that they could create if they're really good at building something. Anyways, it's going to help us get the juices flowing. And at least from my perspective, and again, these applicants, all three coaches, we're going to be looking at these applicants and sort of fighting for which applicant we want as coaches, right? And so this is one of those questions that if I see that somebody's an expert at something really unique and I see an opportunity there, I might fight for that applicant more than I would somebody else, even if that somebody else seems like they have more experience, right? So I think it's a good question to help get the brainstorming juices flowing.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's also just a level of enjoyment. I've worked on sites in markets that I don't care about, and I've worked on sites in markets that I do care about. And I can tell you that it's much easier to work on sites that you do care about. And I've also seen hundreds of sites and have been privy to their success. And I can tell you that having the expertise is never a bad thing. So hopefully, while it's not required, it would be really cool to find somebody who has an expertise or a passion about a particular subject, just because it could be a lot easier to build a site in that area.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And so question 5 is one where we're going to be looking briefly at people's writing skills a little bit, right? Because to be a success, it would be ideal if the winning applicants could at least write somewhat well. So the question is, in 500 words or less, explain your dream business venture. Don't be afraid to dream beyond niche sites. If you could snap your fingers and make it happen, what kind of business would you own and why? And we've been getting applications already, and we're getting some interesting answers to that question. And so I think it's a good one. And then finally, number 6 really isn't a question, but just input your YouTube link to the video that you created in step 1. And so that's basically it. That's our process that we're going to use to hopefully narrow down and find our 3 winning applicants.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So fairly simple process. Like we said, the application deadline is December 2nd. And then after that, we're going to take about a week to go through all the applications. And so by December 9th, we will have chosen, Jake, Perrin, and I will have chosen our top 10 applicants. And at that point, the next step after that, let's see here. Yeah. So basically, then we're going to take another week after that to kind of make the final decision. So by December 16th is when we hope to have the 3 winning students finalized and set and ready to start coaching.
And are we going to pick all 10 of the finalists?
No, we will not. So we do want to have the Niche Pursuits community involved in the picking process. And so what we're doing, again, you are able to see every single YouTube video as they come in. So if you just do a quick search on YouTube for Niche Site Project 3 applicant, that will pull up all the videos. Or if you go over to the Niche Pursuits Facebook page, that's going to pull up all the videos as well. And we are going to allow the Niche Pursuits community to basically pick their top 2 videos that they like. And those top 2 videos are going to be in that final round, in that final application round. They're automatically going to make it, and then we'll choose from there.
And I don't think we mentioned this yet, but the final round of those top 10 will basically get a phone interview or a Skype interview with us.
Right, most likely. Yeah, we haven't nailed down the exact process, but it probably will be a short Skype call or something like that, right? Just to kind of get to know them a little bit better.
See if there's chemistry, give them one last chance to impress us, and that sort of thing.
Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, it's a fairly involved process, and I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I mean, from my end, to give people an idea, I didn't want this to be an overwhelming process. When I did Niche Site Project 2, there was pretty much no requirements to apply. I think you had to join my email list, and anyways, really easy. You submitted your name and email, and that was it. And there was over 650 applicants.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go through that process of whittling down 650 people down to 1 or 3 in this case. So I thought making people jump through the hoops of creating a YouTube video and doing a written application would help. And it definitely has. So there's been a lot less applicants. I mean, we're probably still close to, I don't know, what would you say, 15 to 20? Maybe?
I think maybe a little bit over 20 now. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's been good. We've had a really big and awesome response on the blog to the project. But halfway through the deadline, or halfway to the deadline, I think we've only gotten 20 really good applications.
Right.
So far it seems to be working.
Yeah, it's working good from our end because we have less YouTube videos to go through. Not that we don't enjoy the YouTube videos, but we don't want to make it a full-time job here. So having said that, I mean, there's about a week left. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to apply, your chances of being in that final 10 is really good. There's only 20 applications so far. And so maybe by the end, maybe there'll be 40. I don't know if we double it because we're halfway through. A 1 in 40 chance automatically. And if you're any good, your chances will go up quite a bit.
Yeah, totally.
Because some applicants will certainly be better fits than others. So if you think you're a good fit and you would be happy to publicly build a niche site, we would be happy to have you apply.
Yeah, I also want to take some time here to endorse our compadre Jake, because not a lot of people know Jake.
Right.
And so I want people to understand how good of a coach he'll be before we just start throwing him at students,
Right.
So Jake does a lot of the marketing, almost all the marketing for Longtail Pro. And he runs that whole marketing operation. That's guest posts, that's sales, that's all the email stuff, which can be very complicated for something as big as Longtail Pro. He also builds his own sites, and I think his current site is fairly new as far as like when he really started working on it.
Yep.
And he's getting almost let me see. It's either 1,500 or 2,000 visitors a day, and he has built almost no links to it.
Yep.
And he's using a lot of cool strategies that I'm sure he will reveal. So he is a really strong coach, I think. And he also has a really good way of explaining stuff. So he would be a really strong coach. He has his own sites that are working really, really well. And he has a very in-depth knowledge of Longtail Pro, which is going to be an essential tool for this process. So I just think we need to let people know who Jake really is before, he starts coaching people, because I think he's an excellent coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake is the real deal. He knows what he's doing. I think he'll be a really good coach because he is down to earth and he can explain complicated things in a simple fashion.
Yep.
And he's definitely had success with several sites actually. And so he kind of has a cool story that maybe we'll tell a little bit more, but he's built some great sites, and the newest one that he's building, as you mentioned, is doing quite well. And so, Jake will be good, and hopefully we'll all do a good job of coaching.
Yeah.
And, we'll have different styles, and it'll be good.
For sure, yeah. I think one of the reasons we're also excited about this one is because we're going to showcase our different strategies and preferences, and we'll probably see how they all work, and hopefully readers and listeners will be able to see which strategies are valuable, and maybe which strategies are good for different markets. So there's going to be a lot of different stuff to learn instead of just the same process that we all kind of know and love. There's going to be some variation and some innovation and some creativity, and hopefully it'll be super interesting for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good project. So, I don't know, maybe we'll just leave it there. I mean, the application process has started. It's open. If you want to apply, again, go over to nichepursuits.com and read the latest blog post on how to do that. And, we'll hopefully be looking forward to seeing your application.
And if you have a chance, go to nichepursuits.com. Congratulate Spencer on his 400th blog post on Niche Pursuits, which was the Niche Site Project 3 announcement. So pretty serendipitous and pretty cool.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, I saw that, in WordPress, it shows how many posts are published, and it hit 400. I was like, whoa, cannot believe I've done 400 blog posts. And you figure each of them are, I don't know, 1,500 to 2,000 words.
Yeah.
That's a really long book if it was all put into one spot.
Yeah.
So.
Let me see. That's like, 800,000. That's almost 1 million words. That's insane.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, that number's too big. I don't comprehend. So, anyways, yes. So Niche Pursuits, 400 blog posts, yada yada. Hopefully, I can keep doing it, keep cranking them out. So, yeah, it's Thanksgiving in a couple of days. Maybe we'll end it on a Thanksgiving note. Hopefully everybody listening in has a great Thanksgiving, enjoyable holiday season, spend time with their family, that sort of thing. That's what I'm doing. We're going to be having a big Thanksgiving meal over at my house. That usually is the place where we do it. My wife's family, her parents, and 2 siblings and their kids will all be over. And I have 2 brothers that don't live too far away. They'll be coming over with their kids. They both have 3 or 4 kids. So there are going to be tons of kids running around, cousins, nephews, nieces, and then anybody else?
Football too, right?
Yes, of course. I'm doing a turkey bowl Thanksgiving morning. Get out with a group of guys, some friends, and
putting pads on.
Not quite that far. We're all just a little chubby around the middle. That's our pads, but just flag football. And we'll probably all pull our hamstrings, and then eat turkey later in the day. But yeah, so that's my deal. Perrin, what's your Thanksgiving looking like this year?
I'm headed to Missouri. My dad's down there. My mom's down there. Probably going to have 2 Thanksgiving just by running around, seeing the family, and then seeing a bunch of friends there, old high school and college friends, and then coming back up here. And then my brother will be here for a week, which my wife and I are really excited about because he's, as many of you know, has a website or sold a website and is working on a new website and is living the high life in Brazil.
Yeah.
Basically just working on a beach every single day. So he'll be slogging through the snow for at least a week. But it'll be fun to have somebody here and we can talk shop and just geek out about SEO all day. Because my wife, believe it or not, is not an SEO geek. So
I can't believe it. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, yeah, I try to talk to my wife about business and her eyes kind of glaze over. And
I know.
I actually told her that I had just published my 400th blog post on Niche Pursuits, and she's like, wow. And I think I've only read 1.
Oh,
it's really
burn.
sad. So if you've read more than one of my blog posts or listened to more than one of my podcasts, you're a bigger fan than my wife is. So
pretty good.
I lead a very separate offline life than I do an online life. Let's put it that way.
For sure.
So anyways, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, or whatever part of the world you're in. Hopefully you have an enjoyable weekend and a good holiday season. So thanks a lot, guys, for listening in.